Have you ever really stopped to think about the incredible journey of human evolution?
It's pretty wild when you do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not just what happened, ancestors walking upright, brains getting bigger, but the how and the why. How did our bodies and minds change in these really unique ways?
It's a story full of twists and turns, definitely, and some fascinating rules governing it all.
And that's exactly what we're digging into today on the deep dive.
Yep. We've gathered your sources, all the research, the articles, the notes, and we're going to pull out the most important insights, help you get really well informed.
Our mission today: explore those fundamental rules of how species change and how our biology and, crucially, our culture work together, intertwined to shape us.
It's a fascinating interplay.
Get ready for some aha moments, seriously. We'll hit key evolutionary concepts like Mosaic Law, Koch's rule, then zoom in on bipedalism, those amazing adaptations, how our skulls and brains transformed,
Big changes there.
and the surprising impact of things like, making tools and using fire. It's going to be a wild ride.
Okay, let's dive in. We often think of evolution as this steady march forward, right? Consistent progress.
Yeah, kind of linear.
But the first concept really challenges that. It's called Mosaic Law, or the Mosaic Rule of Evolution.
Mosaic Law, okay.
And it basically says evolution is, inconsistent, asymmetrical. Different body parts or traits evolve at different rates.
Not all at once.
Exactly. Not in perfect sync.
Huh. So it's like you upgrade your car's engine, but the brakes are still from the old model, that kind of thing.
Sort of, yeah. And the key insight for you, the listener, is that evolution isn't this synchronized process.
Yeah.
It's messy. It's adaptive. It's a mosaic.
Okay, messy.
Yeah. And it means you can't just look at one trait and predict the whole organism's path. It shows how adaptable life is, often repurposing older features for new jobs.
Right.
For humans, a classic example is bipedalism, walking on two legs. That ability developed before our brains got significantly larger.
So they weren't linked at the start.
Your sources make it clear there was no sync between those two massive developments. Walking came first, big brains later.
That's a great example. And it makes me think about modularity. Is that related? The idea that different organs are like independent modules?
It's a related concept, yeah. The idea is you could maybe study, say, a lung's evolution without worrying about the kidneys, like separate modules.
Sounds neat for analysis.
It does, but proving true modularity in reality is tricky.
Why is that?
Because our bodies are so interconnected, right? Bipedalism wasn't just the legs. It needed changes in feet, spine, pelvis. Loads of parts working together.
So complete independence is hard to pin down.
Very hard.
Okay, that makes sense. Everything's connected. And that interconnectedness sometimes leads to another interesting trend, Koch's rule.
Right, Koch's rule.
Not a strict law, you said, but a general trend we see in fossils. That species tend to get bigger over time.
Exactly. It's a pattern observed across many lineages. But the question is why? Why would nature often favor bigger?
Good question. What are the advantages?
Well, several potential ones. Larger animals might be better hunters or better at escaping predators, just harder to take down.
Sure.
Bigger bodies can support bigger brains, potentially leading to more intelligence. Think about food, too. An elephant can eat a wider variety of stuff than, say, an ant.
Wider menu. Okay.
And in many species, size can matter for mating success. Being bigger might signal dominance or health.
Right, sexual selection.
Exactly. And all these things can contribute to a longer lifespan.
Those are definitely perks, but there have to be downsides too, right? Listener, what do these pros and cons tell us about evolution not always taking just one path?
That's the key point. Being big isn't always better. Larger animals are easier targets for predators.
Harder to hide.
And they need way more food. So if resources become scarce, they're more vulnerable. A sudden drought hits big herbivores harder.
Okay, so it's a trade-off.
Always. Koch's rule shows a trend, but evolution is constantly balancing advantages against disadvantages for a specific environment. It's about optimization, not just getting bigger for the sake of it.
Optimization. I like that. And speaking of competition for resources, that leads us to the next rule. Competitive exclusion. Gause's rule.
Yep, Gause's rule. This was pretty stark.
What's the core idea?
If you have two species competing for the exact same limited resources in the same place, they can't coexist stably forever.
One wins, one loses.
Eventually, yes. One will outcompete the other, potentially driving it to local extinction. It's a direct fight for those resources.
Gause actually showed this in the lab.
He did. Georgy Gause, a Russian biologist, he used two species of paramecium, tiny, single-celled organisms, Grown separately, they both did fine.
But together.
Together, eating the same food source, one species consistently outcompeted and eliminated the other. Classic demonstration.
Wow. And thinking about humans, we seem like a prime example of this, don't we?
You could definitely argue that. With our intelligence and adaptability, we've spread everywhere.
And let's be honest, we've often eliminated competitors. Think about the decline in wild animal populations versus the huge increase in humans and our domesticated animals.
It's a dramatic shift. We've been very effective at securing resources for ourselves, often at the expense of other species.
But it's not always a fight to the death in nature, right? There are exceptions.
Absolutely. Competitive exclusion describes one outcome, but species often find ways to coexist,
Oh.
usually through resource partitioning or niche differentiation. Basically, they find ways to divide things up.
Like sharing, but not directly competing.
Exactly. Maybe one species eats fruit from the ground, another eats it straight from the branches. Or they hunt at different times of day, they carve out slightly different niches.
Clever. Avoids direct conflict. Okay, let's shift gears to something that sounds more explosive. Adaptive radiation.
Yeah, it can be pretty dramatic, yeah. It's when one ancestral species rapidly diversifies into many new forms. Usually it's about new opportunities. Environmental changes might open up new ecological niches, new ways to make a living, essentially.
Can you give us an example?
The classic one is finches on the Galapagos Islands.
Yes, the beaks.
Exactly. One ancestral finch species arrived, and over time, it diversified into about 14 different species. Each evolves unique beak shapes and sizes, perfectly suited for different food sources, seeds, insects, fruits, you name it.
Amazing. Any other examples?
Lemurs in Madagascar are another great case. An isolated island with diverse environments.
Led to lots of different lemurs.
Over 100 different species, all from a common ancestor, each adapted to a specific zone or diet. It's incredible diversification.
And this happened in our own lineage too, right? Primate radiation.
It did. Primates, including us, really took off. Your sources point to a couple of key drivers.
Like what?
Continental drift was one. It separated populations, leading to Old World and New World monkeys diverging.
Okay.
And maybe even more importantly, the extinction of the dinosaurs, around 60 million years ago.
How did that cause radiation?
It suddenly opened up ecological space. Dinosaurs were gone, leaving territories and resources free for mammals, including early primates, to exploit. This likely spurred the evolution of key primate traits.
Like opposable thumbs.
Opposable thumbs, grasping hands, forward-facing eyes for binocular vision. Traits that help them thrive in these newly available niches, especially in trees. So listener, how does the environment push species to change and diversify so dramatically?
It's that constant pressure, isn't it? Find food, avoid being eaten, reproduce successfully.
Exactly. When the environment changes or new opportunities pop up, natural selection favors adaptations that let a species take advantage.
Incredible. Okay, let's clarify two terms that often get confused. Convergence and parallelism. They both describe species ending up with similar traits, right?
They do, but the starting point is different. It's all about ancestry.
Okay, break it down. What's convergence?
Convergence is when unrelated species independently evolve similar traits because they face similar environmental challenges or lifestyles. No recent common ancestor.
Examples.
Think about streamlined bodies for moving through water. Sharks are fish, dolphins are mammals, penguins are birds.
Totally different groups.
Exactly. But they all evolved that sleek torpedo shape because it's efficient for swimming. Or wings for flight evolved independently in insects, birds, bats, pterosaurs.
So similar problems, similar solutions, even if they're not related?
Precisely. But importantly, they still retain their fundamental identity. A dolphin is still a mammal, a penguin is still a bird.
Got it. So what's parallelism then?
Parallelism is when related species that do share a relatively recent common ancestor, independently evolve similar traits after they've diverged.
So they start from a similar place, split off, but then head down similar evolutionary paths.
You got it. A great example involves us and the other great apes, chimpanzees, gorillas, bonobos. We share a common ancestor.
Right.
As different lineages spent less time in trees, several of them, including ours, independently reduced or lost their tails.
Ah, okay. Similar pressures led to similar changes in related groups.
Another example is increased brain size. We see parallel trends of brain expansion in both Old World monkeys and New World monkeys, even though they diverged millions of years ago.
Okay, so listener, when you see a similar trait in two animals, the key question is, how closely related are they? that tells you if it's convergence or parallelism.
And it highlights the power of natural selection, either finding similar solutions to the same problem in different lineages or guiding related lineages along similar adaptive pathways.
Right. Okay, with those evolutionary rules setting the stage, let's focus on our story. And one of the biggest plot twists was standing up, right? Bipedalism.
Absolutely huge. We're unique as habitual bipeds. We're designed for walking on two legs pretty much all the time.
Unlike other animals.
Yeah, things like birds or kangaroos are conditional bipeds. They use two legs, sure, but often need tails for balance or only do it sometimes. It's not their default way of getting around like it is for us.
So the million-dollar question, why? Why did our ancestors stand up? Listener, what advantages do you think walking on two legs offered?
Scientists have proposed many hypotheses. One is the carrying model.
Meaning?
Bipedalism freed the hands. Suddenly you can carry food back to the group. Infants, tools, rocks for defense.
That seems like a big survival advantage.
Definitely. Improved survival, maybe reproductive success too.
What else?
The vigilance model. Imagine being out on the open savanna.
Standing tall lets you see further.
Exactly. Spot predators sooner or locate prey easier over tall grass.
Makes sense.
Then there's the heat dissipation model. This links to climate.
How so?
Standing upright exposes less of your body surface to the direct overhead sun and more surface area to cooling breezes. Better temperature regulation in hot environments.
Interesting. What about efficiency?
The energy efficiency model. While four-legged animals might be faster sprinters.
Like cheetahs.
Right. But bipedalism seems to be more energy efficient for long-distance walking or running. Think endurance. Humans are remarkable endurance runners.
Marathon.
Exactly. Compare that to the knuckle walking of chimps and gorillas, which is actually pretty energy intensive over distance.
Okay, efficiency for travel. Any other ideas?
The display model. Standing tall makes you look bigger, more imposing.
Like a threat display.
Could be. Useful in confrontations, maybe helps attract mates, sexual selection again. Think King Kong beating his chest. It's about projecting size and dominance.
Huh. Okay. And wasn't there one about trees?
Yes, the walking in the trees model. This suggests bipedalism might have started before we fully left the trees.
How would that work?
Early apes might have used a sort of hand-assisted bipedalism to walk along flexible branches, using their hands to grab overhead branches for support. It helps navigate the canopy.
So maybe it started up there, then we adapted it for the ground?
That's the idea. So all these models point to advantages, reasons why natural selection might have favored standing up.
But evolution always has trade-offs. For every gain, there's a cost. What were the downsides of bipedalism, you think?
Oh, there were significant costs. It wasn't a free lunch.
Like what?
Well, think about stress on the skeleton. Your entire body weight is now balanced on two limbs, not four.
Puts a lot of strain on the back.
Huge strain. Leads to common problems like arthritis, slipped discs, back pain. Things other apes don't suffer from nearly as much. Ouch. What else? Circulation. Pumping blood all the way up from your feet against gravity is hard work for the heart and veins.
Varicose veins.
That's one consequence, yeah. Increased pressure on the circulatory system. And think about injury.
What about it?
If a four-legged animal injures one leg, it can usually still hobble around on three. If a biped injures a leg...
It's pretty much immobilized. Very vulnerable in the wild.
Exactly. A single injury becomes much more debilitating.
And perhaps the biggest trade-off, childbirth.
The obstetrical dilemma. This is a major one.
Explain that again.
For efficient walking, you need a relatively narrow pelvis. But for a baby with a large head like human babies have to pass through the birth canal, you need a wider pelvis.
So our anatomy is pulling in two different directions.
Precisely. It's a biological conflict.
Mm-hmm.
This dilemma made childbirth incredibly risky and painful for early human females. High rates of maternal and infant mortality were likely the norm for a long time.
That's a heavy cost.
It really is. Bipedalism clearly wasn't perfect, but the advantages must have outweighed these serious costs for it to become our defining way of moving. It really sets the stage for everything that followed.
Wow. It really makes you appreciate the challenges our ancestors faced. Okay, let's dive into the specific biological changes that made bipedalism possible. Feet first.
Feet first. They went through a total redesign. From grasping structures like you see in chimps.
Like having four hands, almost.
Kinda, yeah. To becoming rigid platforms built for support and propulsion. The big toe lost its opposability, aligning with the other toes.
And the arch.
Crucial. We developed a distinct foot arch, actually, multiple arches to absorb shock and distribute weight. People with flat feet lack this effective arch, which can cause issues.
Right. What about the legs?
Our thigh bone, the femur, got longer relative to our body size compared to apes, and it started angling inwards towards the knees.
Boy, the inward angle.
It brings our feet more directly under our center of gravity, making walking much more stable and efficient, less swaying side to side. Our knees also adapted to lock straighter, saving energy compared to the bent knee gait of chimps.
And the pelvis, we mentioned it became narrow, but how else did it change?
It became shorter, top to bottom, and wider side to side, forming a sort of basin shape.
A basin.
Yeah, this provides better support for our internal organs against gravity and offers a stable base for transferring weight from the torso to the legs. But again, that shape contributed to the childbirth issue.
Okay, so feet, legs, pelvis. What about arms and hands? They weren't needed for walking anymore.
Right, so our arms became shorter and less muscular compared to apes.
Yeah.
But our hands, they became adapted for incredible dexterity.
Fine motor skills.
Exactly. The precision grip where you can touch your thumb tip to your fingertips. This was vital for making and using complex tools. Fingers became less curved, claws became flat nails, and we developed sensitive tactile pads on our fingertips.
Enhancing our sense of touch.
Massively. And finally, the spine.
It's not straight like an ape's, is it?
Nope. We developed an S-shaped curve. Two curves. Really one in the lower back, one in the upper back.
Why the curves?
They act like a spring, absorbing the shock of walking and helping keep our head and torso balanced directly over our pelvis. Essential for upright posture.
Incredible. So many interconnected changes just to walk efficiently on two legs. Now let's move up to the head. Skull, face, teeth, big changes there too.
Huge changes, driven by a few key factors. One was the need for babies to be born relatively immature because of the pelvic constraints. Another was major shifts in our diet.
How did the skull itself change for upright posture?
A key change is the position of the foramen magnum.
That's the hole where the spine connects.
Exactly. In apes, it's towards the back of the skull. In humans, it migrated to the center underneath the skull.
Why does that matter?
It allows the head to balance directly on top of the spine with much less muscle effort. Apes need strong neck muscles to hold their heads up. We don't nearly as much.
And that led to other changes.
Yeah, less need for those strong neck muscles probably contributed to the reduction of the heavy supraorbital ridge, the brow ridge. Ours became much smaller and smoother.
What about the overall shape?
Our brain case, the cranial vault, expanded upwards vertically. This gave us our high foreheads formed by the frontal bone, something apes lack.
And this vertical expansion affected the face.
It did. It sort of pushed the face downwards and tucked it under the brain case more, leading to a flatter facial profile compared to the projecting snouts of apes. Our noses became more prominent, pointing outwards.
Okay. And jaws and teeth. You mentioned diet changes.
Yes. As our diet softened, especially with the invention of cooking, and we stopped using our mouths as tools quite so much, our jaws and teeth got significantly smaller.
Less chewing needed.
Much less. Our large, tusk-like canines shrunk dramatically. This also meant we lost the diastema, that gap in the lower jaw you see in apes where their upper canine fits.
No need for the gap if the canines are small.
Exactly. And uniquely, modern humans evolved a distinct chin.
A chin. Apes don't have chins.
Nope, it's a uniquely human feature. Why we have it is debated. Maybe it helps stabilize the smaller jaw during chewing or speech. Or perhaps it evolved through sexual selection as a marker of facial attractiveness.
Fascinating. Okay, let's talk about the brain itself. The expansion was dramatic.
Absolutely staggering. From around 400 cubic centimeters, cc, in early hominins, like Australopithecus.
Like Lucy.
Yes. To an average of about 1,400 cc in modern humans. A more than threefold increase.
And it's not just size, right? It's about organization.
Correct. We have the highest encephalization quotient, EQ, brain size relative to body size. But the internal structure changed too. The neocortex, the outermost layer, expanded massively.
And that's the thinking part.
That's where our higher cognitive functions reside. Reasoning, planning, language, abstract thought. We saw a huge increase in gray matter and white matter there.
And specific language areas developed.
Yes, notably the Broca area. Crucial for producing speech. Its development is clearly linked to our capacity for complex language.
It's amazing. And that big brain needs a lot of power.
It's incredibly energy hungry. Only about 2% of our body weight, but it burns 20-25% of our daily calories at rest.
Wow, and maybe even more when you're thinking hard.
Could be up to 30%, yeah. It highlights just how metabolically expensive and therefore important our large brain is.
So we've covered the biology, but you mentioned human evolution is biocultural. What does that mean?
It means our biology and our culture didn't evolve in isolation. They influenced each other in a constant feedback loop.
How so?
Well, biological changes like bipedalism freeing the hands, or brain growth allowing for complex thought-enabled cultural developments like making tools or developing language.
And then culture influenced biology.
Exactly. Those cultural practices then created new selective pressures that shaped our ongoing biological evolution.
Okay, let's take tool use as an example. How did that fit into the loop?
Bipedalism gave us the hands, and evolving brains gave us the intelligence to envision and create tools. Making and using tools then became crucial for survival, getting food, defense.
So better tool makers had an advantage.
Right. This likely created selection pressure, favoring individuals with better fine motor skills, better planning abilities, perhaps better spatial reasoning, all linked to brain development, particularly the neocortex.
So tool use helped drive brain evolution.
That's a strong hypothesis. Some even suggested very finely crafted tools, like the symmetrical hand axes of Homo erectus, might have served a social function too.
Like showing off skill.
Perhaps. A display of cognitive ability and dexterity to potential mates. And interestingly, brain imaging studies show that the process of making stone tools activates some of the same brain regions involved in language.
Wow, a link between making things and talking.
It suggests a potential co-evolutionary pathway between tool use and language capacity, maybe involving the Broca area.
That's incredible. Okay, what about fire? How did mastering fire play into this biocultural loop?
Fire was a game changer on so many levels.
Socially.
Definitely. It extended the usable day, allowing activity after dark. Campfires became focal points for social gathering, sharing food, storytelling.
Fostering communication.
Absolutely. It likely encouraged social bonding and created more opportunities and maybe even an urge to speak, further stimulating language development and the associated brain regions.
And it helped us adapt environmentally.
Hugely. Fire provided warmth, allowing humans to move into colder climates without needing purely biological adaptations like thick fur or layers of fat. It was a cultural solution to an environmental challenge.
So it changed the direction of our evolution.
You could say it altered the pressures. Instead of only biological adaptation to cold, we used culture fire, clothing, shelter.
And the impact on diet was massive, too.
Probably the most profound biological impact. Cooking food makes it softer, easier to chew, and much easier to digest.
Leading to smaller jaws and teeth.
Yes, we already mentioned that. But critically, easier digestion meant our digestive system could change. Specifically, our large intestine seems to have shrunk relative to other primates.
Why does that matter?
Digestion, especially of tough plant fibers in the large intestine, takes a lot of energy. By cooking food and making it easier to digest higher up, we freed up a significant amount of metabolic energy.
Energy that could be used elsewhere.
Exactly. The expensive tissue hypothesis suggests that this freed up energy was redirected to fuel the growth and maintenance of another very expensive organ.
Our brains.
Our incredibly energy-hungry brains. So mastering fire likely played a direct role in enabling the rapid brain expansion we see in human evolution.
What an incredible story we've covered. From the basic rules like Mosaic Law and Cope's rule,
to the intense competition of Gause's rule and the births of diversity from adaptive radiation.
Then the huge biological leaps bipedalism with all its costs and benefits, the reshaping of our skeleton from our feet to our S-curved spine.
The remodeling of our skulls, faces, teeth, and that incredible expansion of the brain, especially the neocortex.
But it wasn't just biology. The cultural innovations, tool making, and fire.
They weren't just side effects. They were integral parts of the process, creating that powerful biocultural feedback loop, shaping our bodies, our minds, our societies.
It's a story of constant adaptation, driven by both our genes and our ingenuity.
Nature and nurture, working together over millions of years.
So as you, our listener, reflect on this epic journey, here's a final thought to ponder. If things we might see as relatively simple today, like controlling fire or shaping a stone tool, could fundamentally alter the course of human biology and society.
Where are you going with this?
Well, what cultural innovations are we creating right now? Think about digital technology, genetic engineering, artificial intelligence. How might these be subtly, or maybe not so subtly, shaping the future evolution of our species?
That's a deep question. What biological trade-offs might we be making now, perhaps without even realizing it, as we adapt to this new, culturally shaped environment we've created?
Something to definitely think about.